Better? You guys are still talking, so I don't know. Is it better or not? Okay. Good morning. I'm Barbara Bynum, and I'm one of the 4 women who put together the forum program each week. All 4 of us are here this week. That mostly means we're not traveling. Myself, Kathy Hebers, Phoebe Benzinger, and Judy Ann Files. And we've been bringing you the forum program Kathy and I have been doing it for 13 years. Every Wednesday at 8 o'clock, but we are about to rock your world because next week we are gonna start at 9. So I pity the fool who shows up at 8 o'clock next week because we will not be here and the lights will be off. But hopefully they will remember, go get a cup of coffee and come back. So 9 o'clock starting next week, and that will continue for, let's call it the winter, and then we'll kind of reevaluate how that worked. We do have, of course, the police academy in here during the summer, and so starting at 9 in the summer isn't an option in this room. So don't make plans too far out for next July, but for the next few months, 9 o'clock here for forums. So this morning, I'm super excited to tell you about our topic. If you know me and you know my history in Montrose, you know how important the rec district is to me and how much I loved serving as the board president. I think we're really, really lucky here in Montrose to have a rec district that is a separate special district. So they're not part of the city, they're not part of the county, they're their own independent district. And that gives them a lot of flexibility, and it means that they've really been able to thrive in our community. And I could keep talking, but these are the experts, so I'm gonna stop. Today, we're welcoming Jeremy Masters, Justin Mashburn, and Astro Ball. I think my son has worked for 2 out of 3 of you when he was a teenager. And they are the experts. Mary is the director, and she tested positive for COVID. She feels fine, but she did not want to come this morning and share her gems with you guys. So we can appreciate her absence instead of be sad that she's not here. We can appreciate that she didn't come. So let's give Jeremy a warm welcome.
Thank you, Barb. And you are an expert as a past board president of ours and longtime supporter, so thank you, Barb. And thanks also to the forum for always being so gracious and having us attend and present. And thanks to all of you for being engaged in our community and this presentation. As Barb said, Mary is not able to be here today, so we had 4 of us ready to talk here today. And I know that she was looking forward to talking here today and for showcasing the Montrose Recreation District to you. And that right now she is pacing around her house, waiting to hear how all this goes. So here goes. The MRD, as most of you know, and as Barb just mentioned, is an independent local government entity, meaning that we're not under the authority of the city of Montrose or Montrose County, and have our own elected governing body as a Colorado special district. Barb Sharrow is the board president and one of 7 directors on our board. Barb is here today, as are some other board members, Paul Wiesner, Ken Otto, and Christina Files. So thank you all for being here. Our board sets policy and direction for us as staff, who then implement that direction. And we do this only in partnership with our community. We are always happy to hear from you. That's why we are here today, to help ensure that we remain relevant and responsive to the changing needs. What are we going to present today? Well, lots, and we'll show you that we are so much more than the CRC. We have been around since 1956, and the CRC has only been we've only had that for 8 years, so we've been around for a very long time. The Montrose Recreation District is the 3rd largest public parks and recreation agency on the western slope, and we happen to have its most modern and active recreation center. We operate 4 indoor facilities and 7 different park sites and annually run hundreds of recreation programs. Today, you're going to hear about some of our larger initiatives across all of our internal divisions. We will share some key facts, highlight our impacts, key achievements, and a small glimpse of things to come. First, I want to take us back to our 2023 comprehensive Parks and Recreation Master Plan that relied upon our extensive board, staff, and community engagement to land us on our 5 big moves going forward. Everything you hear about today springs from that master plan and relates specifically to one of those 5 big moves, which we've been executing with great intention. Those 5 big moves, if you can go to that slide. Yes, please.
We can't read that fast.
These 5 big moves are expanded programming, capital improvement program for long-term investments, a focus on trail system and connectivity, a focus on our own employees, attracting and retaining highly qualified and professional staff, and movement towards national standards for excellence in parks and recreation. Back to the values slide. All right, sorry about this, folks. Everything we do is guided by our fundamental values, and they include practicing stewardship, and to us, that's doing things well, that have sustainable and high impact, while being careful stewards of public funds and the environment. It's being innovative. To us, that's not being okay with the status quo. It's looking out for new and smarter ways of doing things. It's being inclusive, making sure that our facilities, programs, and services allow barrier-free access, because we firmly believe that recreation is for everyone and that everyone belongs with the MRD. We intend to do things with community focus, doing the work with community good in mind and in ways that continue to build it. And it's being customer-centric, serving and making a positive impact on each person, one at a time. We provide our exceptional and comprehensive services through 3 distinct divisions: administrative, recreation services, and parks and facilities maintenance. On the administrative services side, that's our operations hub. It's where we strategically make sure that everything happens just as it should and is well coordinated throughout the organization. In this division, we run all of the board support and interface, all of our internal supports, such as human resources, legal, financial, as well as data, grants, and engagement. And then providing a central command, if you will, to all of our projects, 68 of them this year, that are happening all across the district. Now, I'm going to share with you about our operating and capital budgets that ensure that we invest in the right places, at the right times, and in the ways that work for our community. Our budget is, as we see it, an investment, and it starts with our $6.4 million operating budget in 2025. Yeah, that's the here and now. That's turning on the lights, heating the pools, and mowing the ball fields. It's also an investment in all things Montrose. It is an investment in our physical health, whether it's a toddler in an early movement class, a post-op patient in an aquatherapy session, or an employee of one of our corporate members that finds themselves with a pass and working out for the first time in their life. It's an investment in our mental and social health. And that can be teenagers socializing on the bleachers or basketball court, a senior on a museum tour or socializing around a card table that perhaps just lost their spouse. Or families and neighbors celebrating birthday parties in a park, pool, or playground. It is an investment in our workforce development. Our employees, it is the first job for so many, and they could be learning life-saving skills on the pool deck, or gaining confidence, fortitude, and conflict resolution skills, refereeing soccer or umpiring baseball. It is an investment in our economic development. We are consistently cited by the Montrose Economic Development Corporation as a major force in compelling new and growing businesses to be here in Montrose. And we are constantly touring professionals and their families around the CRC while they are in town for interviews. Our operations are divided budgetarily into revenues and expenses, of course, and MRD revenues come from various sources. Across the entirety of the MRD budget, tax collections account for 63% of our revenues. Interest, 5%. Lottery proceeds, 2%, and fees and charges, the remaining 30%. Note that while supported by public funds, nearly all of our participants pay for the programs and services that they receive. On the capital side, our capital budget in 2025 is $4.5 million. This is the investment in MRD's capacity to sustain and grow its impact in the future. MRD plans to sustain that impact through addressing deferred maintenance, avoiding future deferments by addressing current maintenance needs, and through an asset replacement plan. Some of these are more exciting than others, such as replacing our fitness floor with new equipment, or getting a new programming van to replace one that was 20 years old. Trust me though, replacing electrical panels, HVAC units, boilers, and irrigation systems are just as important to our operations. And we are planning and doing these projects better each year. We will be able to accomplish this not just with improved practices, but with $300,000 in annual savings for the next 15 years. We have that through accomplishing in this past year, we refinanced the certificates of participation, also referred to as the lease, that was used to fund the construction of the CRC and the 2017 improvements to the field house. Thanks to the City of Montrose and the city voters, they approved a 0.3% 25-year sales tax addition, the proceeds of which come back directly to the MRD to pay the bonding instrument for capital construction, fund facility operations, and improvements. This past year, we were eligible to refinance, and we did so without any changes to the sales tax percentage or terms. We've reduced that annual lease payment by close to $300,000. And these funds can be specifically earmarked to help us pay for upkeep, maintenance, and replacement items throughout our entire Parks and Recreation system. MRD plans to grow its impact with thoughtful investments in building and property enhancements and to meet and anticipate growing needs of our community. Expanding capacity through development and retention of our professional staff and working to bring our programs to more people. On the property enhancements, you will hear more about that a little bit later. Directly to our staff, we've developed a robust continuing education program that enables growth and development in ways that are meaningful and fulfilling to each individual, and conducting salary and benefits comparisons, making adjustments to keep pace with the markets. Ways in which we are bringing programs to people better are seen throughout all of those three divisions that I mentioned earlier. Examples include developments in accessibility technology and in the activity guide, correcting facility deficiencies that serve as obstacles and inconveniences, and a fast-growing set of adaptive programs and fee assistance programs. Next slide, please. While the impact of MRD is often seen in its program spaces, all of that can only be possible with the hard work of MRD's Parks and Facilities Maintenance Division. They generally operate in the background, and I'm happy to spotlight them right now. Annually, around 11 full-time employees in total operate one of the most state-of-the-art and diverse facilities in town, as well as a dated field house with its own challenges. In all, they manage over 40 acres of outdoor active recreation space and over 100,000 square feet of indoor recreation space. They manage and maintain hundreds of assets dozens of contracts and trade certifications, and are absolutely essential to MRD's daily operations. The successes on the ball fields, the muscles in the mirrors at the gym, and the smiles in the pool can only happen when the fields are mowed and painted, the cables properly lubricated, and the water chemistry is just right. And as we know, these programs and spaces are not always in reach for everyone. MRD and its nonprofit arm, the Montrose Recreation Foundation, seek to make that more possible through internal MRD budget investment and external fundraising, most specifically the Black Canyon Triathlon and the San Juan Trail Tri. Close to $20,000 is awarded annually, reaching hundreds of individuals and families across several fee assistance programs. Now Justin is going to tell you more about those programs and the Recreation Services Division.
All right, on to the fun stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Budgets and all that stuff. No, I get to do the fun stuff. So I'm the Recreation Services Superintendent, so my job is kind of overseeing all of our public-facing facilities, all of our, the rec center, the field house, all of our programs and whatnot. So just a little bit about our division before I get too far into it. We have 7 different departments within Recreation Services, each of them kind of honing in on a specific field or group of people. We operate the 4 facilities that are listed there, the Community Rec Center, the Montrose Field House. We do operate within the Senior Center at the Montrose Pavilion, and obviously over there at Flex Rec. Within the Rec Services Division, we have 13 core staff members, 150 part-time employees, over 100 volunteers a year that help run our youth sports programs primarily. And our motto is, we work while others play. So the unique thing about recreation is that, you know, while everybody else is playing, there's got to be somebody there to kind of rein in the craziness. So we do a lot of evenings and a lot of weekends, which is, you know, our team sacrifices a lot of family time, a lot of personal time, but they do it because they love it. They love the people that they serve, and they love what they do. So they tell me I only have 5 minutes to get through this, so I'm going to fly. Okay? All right, the rec center. This is the heart of the community. I can't tell you how many people in here. I think almost everybody in here is probably a member of the rec center, which is fantastic. I appreciate you guys. I love seeing everybody at the rec center on a regular basis. Kind of a couple of pretty cool stats that put it into perspective how busy the rec center is. We serve an average of 71 people per hour. That's the number of people who come into the facility and pay per hour. That's year-round. That does not include people coming for swim lessons, people who come in for youth basketball or girl basketball games. So it's a fantastic, very highly utilized facility. Since we opened, we've had 2,318,000 people come through the doors in 8 years. So, you know, it's our flagship facility, but as Jeremy mentioned, it's not what we are. It's not what we only are, okay? The next place is the field house. Has everybody seen the inside of the field house since it was repurposed? Oh. If you have not, I strongly encourage you to go there. It's a pretty cool transformation of that facility. To turn it from an indoor pool to an indoor turf field house is pretty remarkable. I do have a slide later in the presentation that will show what it looks like now, but it's our most heavily programmed facility. So we don't necessarily do as many daily admissions in that facility, but we run that facility as often as we can. In the colder months, it's busy from 4 p.m. in the afternoon, well, actually 3 p.m. in the afternoon until well after 10 o'clock at night with adult soccer leagues, indoor lacrosse, our after-school program, and just lots of other stuff like that. So it's a very highly utilized facility, just in a little bit different way. It's not necessarily drop-in type style like we have at the rec center. And then lastly, Flex Rec is our newest facility. Our emphasis over there is on functional fitness. And we also have a partnership with Weehawken Creative Arts, who runs aerial arts classes out of that facility. Next slide. All right, so I'll run through each of our divisions very quickly. Active adults, this is our 50 plus, our senior program over there. We run primarily out of the field house. This is where I want to go when I retire. They get to do the coolest stuff. They go on winery tours, they go on tours of the airports, they get to do all kinds of educational presentations, all kinds of awesome stuff. One of our newest programs is called Senior Planet. It's basically a nationwide technology courses that seniors can take to help them thrive in a digital economy. So we're the only place on the western slope that has these. There's a couple on the Front Range, but thanks to Astro, who got us a grant, and DMEA, we have all the technology, devices that people need to run these, to have these classes, and they take place weekly. So it's a pretty cool deal. Everything from how to pull up photos on your iPhone to how to communicate over Zoom with grandkids in other states. So it's a really cool new program that we have over there. The next one is adaptive programs. This is one of our fastest growing areas, serving individuals who, just need a little bit of extra assistance sometime to look for different types of programs. We have seen significant growth, as I said, in both programs offered and participation. The person who leads that, Danielle Musser, is actually a part-time employee, but she is absolutely fantastic. We partner with Special Olympics of Western Colorado for many of the programs, and these are actually some of our most competitive programs. Like, a lot of people think recreation, we don't do competitive programs. Well, we do an adaptive. They travel over the state, they go to regional competitions. We were fortunate enough to host the Special Olympics regional swim meet last year that brought in hundreds of athletes. This year we're going to do the swim meet and the powerlifting competition. So it's opened up a lot of avenues for people within Montrose and honestly for the district as well. Youth activities. I could go on for years about youth activities. This is where my heart is. This is where I spent the first 15 years of my career. But we use the emphasis of using athletics to teach life skills. So this is a key thing that I think a lot of people don't quite realize is the impact that youth can have, or youth sports can have on kids. We learn a lot in the classroom, but there's a whole lot more to life than learning what's in the classroom, and youth sports can teach a lot of those life lessons. Recent developments, our coordinator, Abby, she's placed a big emphasis on increasing the number of programs for girls, which is awesome. Girls-specific programs, not necessarily co-ed, but girls-specific programs. One that just started a couple of weeks ago was girls flag football, and it's going to be huge. I guarantee we have a girls high school flag football team in the next decade. It's big on the Front Range. We will have one here eventually, I'm sure. So, pretty cool advancements there. Adult sports. Our adult sports program is sometimes overlooked, but we have more than 300 teams in our adult leagues year-round. So a good example is our adult softball program has 50 teams in it throughout the summer, which is frankly mind-boggling when you think that many adults, playing at least one game per week. And we do this pretty much on 2.5 ball fields. So adult coordinator Matt is a scheduling genius, and he somehow fits it all in. Similar thing here. Increasing the number of women-only sports has been a big emphasis on his lately. We've added women's indoor soccer, women-only indoor soccer, also women's-only softball, and there was one more. I can't remember, but he's also had a similar focus in that area. Next one, aquatic programs. This is by far our widest age range of people that we see. This gentleman right here, he's in his 80s, and he's taking swim lessons for the first time. Pretty cool deal. And we have swim lessons for 1-year-olds. So we see this on a daily basis. The wide age range, which is really cool to see all of that happen. Our lifeguards, we need lifeguards. Does anybody want to be a lifeguard? We need lifeguards. That's a constant, ongoing battle of ours. Every time school gets back into session, all of our lifeguards go to school, which they should, but we get left a little high and dry. So if you guys know anybody who needs lifeguards, we'd love some lifeguards. In addition to all of the programs that our aquatic staff does, they also run, of course, which is a tall order to keep that thing running as often as it is. Our fitness programs, a lot of people don't know we offer 40 free fitness classes every week at the Rec Center and Flex Rec. So you pay your daily admission, or you have an annual membership, you can come and take those classes for free. You don't have to pre-register for them, you just show up and take the class. So pretty cool way that we help keep the community healthy and active. And then we're doing a slight rebrand of our Fit Zone, so we're going to have a little bit more exciting logos and atmosphere and stuff like that coming up in our fitness programs. Next slide. Enrichment and outdoors. This has been the single biggest addition to MRD's lineup of programming. A lot of this came out of the comprehensive master plan that Jeremy had alluded to earlier. but filling in gaps. So enrichment, our after-school program has grown significantly the past 2 years. We actually partnered with the school district and took over their after-school program. So all after-school program for the school district and rec district are happening in one place. So we have a location at Pomona and we have a location at the field house where kids come after school, they get homework help, they do crafts and activities, they run off some steam. Pretty cool and important community program to have so that, you know, kids have a place to go after school until their parents get off of work. We are aiming towards next summer of 2026, to have full-day licensed summer program. So that is a big gap that we don't have in this community. Other than the Boys and Girls Club, there is not an all-day summer program that kids can go. So this is another essential service that we will be bringing to Montrose in the next summer. Outdoor activities, Astro's going to talk a little bit more, or a lot bit more about this, but I'll talk a little bit more about it. Our opportunities have expanded significantly over the past 2 years. Kids, they get to do all kinds of cool stuff. Mountain biking, rafting trips. We have trips to the Via Ferrata in Uray, climbing lessons, archery, and more. So just tons of different activities that aren't necessarily your traditional sports programs that can catch a lot more kids and actually give them more opportunities starting at an earlier age. So really excited about the development in these two areas that have come along. So going along the outdoor program, I'm going to turn this over to Astro, who's got some pretty exciting stuff to talk about in that arena.
Hey, thanks, Justin. Thanks for staying on time. I'll have to try to keep up that. Kick me off if I go for 5 minutes. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Astro Ball, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about, this is probably everyone's first, maybe the first time you're hearing about this, so a very exciting piece of news we got last week is that the Montrose Recreation District got a $1.5 million grant. It goes for 5 years. The purpose of that grant is to get really all of the kids in Montrose and Uray counties, kids and families, recreating outside. And so there's a few things I want to tell you in more detail that are special about this grant. First is the primary focus is on the youth and families in our community who don't already have the habits and skills and resources to get outside. So the focus is on removing barriers, whether that be language, whether that be economic resources, whether that be gender related, any of those things. And another really defining feature of the grant is it's a coalition-based grant. So the rec district will be receiving these monies as the fiscal agent and the backbone of the coordination of the coalition. But we're working with the partners you see there on the grant, as well as a few others. So those acronyms at the bottom are Black Canyon High School, if you're familiar with that, the alternative high school in town, and the engagement centers in the school district. So we're working with these providers where they will be providing some of the programs under the grant, we'll be providing some of the programs under the grant, and we'll be working with what we're calling community connectors, like HAP, again in the engagement centers. And we're working with these HAPs, of course, not usually a outdoor rec service provider, but these other organizations have the relationships with the people that we're trying to reach, and so we're working together with them to provide the programs. It is a statewide movement. Everyone, I'm guessing, is familiar with GOCO, Graduates Colorado, and it really is their flagship program. They do mostly funding for infrastructure, like you've seen a lot of the parks and trails in our town, but Generation Wild is their flagship program for programming and outdoor rec programming. So we'll be part of a network of coalitions across the state. It's really a statewide movement and a national leader, thought leader really in how to create populations and systems level change and access to outdoor recreation. So we're very excited about that. Next slide. So like I said, we just received the implementation grant last year for the next 5 years, but we did have in 2025 a planning grant. And that's how we created the plan that we just got funded. And in the planning grant, you'll see there we did some pretty heavy engagement, which was also a pretty exciting process for that, to do that in-house rather than hiring a consultant to do that, builds our capacity to do it. We did a Spanish and English language survey we distributed in the community. We did stakeholder interviews. We did focus groups with targeted audiences in the community. And we did a inventory of programs that were being offered, not just by the MRD, but other regional outdoor rec providers, and we took that gap and we took the need for services and what was currently being provided, and we looked at that gap, and we developed that gap into the 5-year plan. And that is the exciting part of what I'll have to say today about this and the next 5 years of the grant. I've listed on there just some of the programs that will be funded under the next 5 years. So folks might be familiar with the fact that CCA has been taking Oak Grove and Cottonwood, all the 5th graders in those schools on the river every year for the last couple of years. So for one instance, the grant is going to fund that being expanded to all of the elementary schools in town. So within a couple of years, once a year at least, every 5th grader in our community will have a chance to go river rafting. We're going to do Spanish language programs with HAT. We did have a chance to pilot that actually this last Saturday. CCA with MRD support took 20 Spanish-speaking first-generation immigrants out on the river with HAT. They'll be doing really a slate of those programs over the next few years with HAT. We're going to be working with the school district. Again, I mentioned the engagement centers. This is one of the programs I'm personally most excited about, is the engagement centers and the Black Canyon High School have a very large line item in the grant to do really frequent outdoor recreation activities that they plan to tie to incentives for attendance and other pretty innovative ways to leverage the overall impact of those programs in the kids' lives. And I didn't check my time, but I think I'm doing it right here. What's that?
You're doing great.
Okay. So outdoor after school program, again, Justin mentioned the recreation district's after school programs that we have at Pomona and the Field House. So this is another one I think we're all very excited about, and this one will actually start next year. So currently the after school programs, the kids spend maybe a third of that time outside, as Justin said, blowing off some steam. So in this new after school program, which is going to be a partnership with Outer Range, which is going to let us use their space, which is connected to river bottom, so the kids will get driven to the Outer Range space and get to spend that entire 2 hours outside at river bottom playing and learning every day. So that really just, by a factor of 10 will increase the amount of time those kids are being able to get outside every single day, specifically for working families. So very excited about that. This one is, this is another great one here, is the overnight camping. So it might be surprising to know, and I think Justin has taken kids backpacking in the past. So in the past, the MRD has done overnight camping, but it hasn't, I think at least in the past 4 or 5 years, we have not done that. So we'll be able to move back into doing some overnight camping for youth. But really importantly, this family camping, these family programs, this is a theme that will run throughout Generation Wild, is that they found really throughout the state in outdoor recreation, if you don't just take the kids, but if you look at the family unit, take the family hiking, take the family camping, that provides more of the ability for them, the family and kids, to get outside more on their own when you're not having to do it with them. And it's particularly effective for those first-time campers. So you take a group of families camping together, and that also makes connections between the families. So we are looking forward to doing that, as well as potentially doing Spanish-speaking family camping. So lots of really exciting stuff. And again, I should mention again, I listed the partners there. Stress again that some of these will be going on, and it includes Uray County too, and that none of this would be happening without the amazing partners, agencies you saw there on that first slide, and individual representatives from there. So the last program that I'll mention is an outdoor mentor bank, and I'll put in a plug here if you know anyone, or maybe yourselves, you might want to do it. This is a response to one of the #1 barriers that we saw with kids not getting outside as much as they wanted to, and that was that they don't have anyone to go with, and their parents don't have time to take them. So we're working with Partners Mentoring Youth, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with, to create a specialized mentoring program for the outdoors that will connect youth with people in the community that have specific outdoor skills, like let's say climbing or bird watching or landscape drawing, and connect them with kids that want to go outdoors. And lots more to say. If you're curious about this, email me or call me, because I'd love to talk about it. But that's all we have time for today. So I'll hand it off to Justin.
All right. One thing I want to point out is I just noticed this top right, the current challenges, we do not have any challenges with our partnership with the city of Orlando. It is fantastic, okay? So I just want to get that out of the way. Mistake on the slide, my fault. But we recently partnered with the city of Montrose to do a regional master park plan for River Bottom Park. River Bottom Park is an absolute gem within the community. It's a park that only people honestly from Montrose know about because you can't see it from any roads or anything. So, but it is an absolute gem. But it's got a little bit of wear and tear on it. It definitely is time for an update at parts of that facility. So, City of Montrose and us, like I said, we partnered. We both own different parts of that facility. We have a joint use agreement on Cerise Park where the Recreation District gets to use Cerise Park throughout the entire growing season as long as we maintain it. The city does still obviously own that park though. So we have a lot going on with each other. The Recreation District owns U Park, which is the softball fields, and then McNeil Sports Complex, which is the youth sports fields where we do all of our soccer and baseball and softball programs. Basically the highlights that came out of this master plan that specifically relate to what we have going on is increased safety and accessibility through parking lot design, more sidewalks, and better traffic flow. Anybody who has gone down there on a Saturday for soccer games knows that you're going to spend probably an extra 30-40 minutes trying to navigate, exit, and enter that parking lot. So not just a time saver, but also significantly safer as far as more sidewalks, better traffic flow and stuff like that. We jam as many people as we can in there right now, but it's not a whole lot of thought towards safety and sidewalks and design and stuff like that. Another part of this, I don't want to take anybody's thunder, but the beautiful maintenance shop that we have down there that many of you guys have seen will eventually be going away, and actually eventually pretty quickly. Jeremy will talk more about that later. The other one is maximize usable space to provide more and better game and practice facilities for thousands of participants who use our youth and adult sports leagues. As I mentioned earlier, our adult sports programs are just bursting at the seams. We literally cannot put any more games onto the schedule most of the times. They play until almost 11 o'clock Monday through Thursday every night of the summer. So we need more space. So one of the things that came out of this is reconfiguring some of those fields. The youth softball fields were built in the mid-'80s. We have not seen a whole lot of renovations or improvements on them since then. So we're having some issues with our lighting currently. The lighting is so old that they don't make replacement parts or anything. So now when a light bulb goes out, it's out. Like out. So that definitely is something that we're going to address within this master plan. Next one is to replace and improve outfield lighting, like I just said, the restrooms and concessions areas. If you've been down there, those are not exactly shining examples of the Recreation District, and they could use an update. One thing that we have kind of tried to do is Holly Park. You guys are familiar with Holly Park, it's right off of Rio Grande there. That was renovated during and after the pandemic. It opened in 2021, and that is kind of our new standard for how we want our facilities to look. It's nothing super fancy, but it's got everything we need, and everything is very well organized and thought out. So that's where we're trying to bring that same concept down here to you, McNeil. And then the last steps is to refine the outline of the program, engage you guys in public, and develop the budget for implementation in a timeline like that. So those are things that we're working on currently. We just have a lot of competing interests right now trying to figure out where all the balls are going to land. But this is a very exciting project for the district because it's been a long time coming. So next up, I'll turn this over to Jeremy, who's going to talk about parks maintenance.
Yes, our parks and facilities maintenance shop. So you can see our current one, which Justin was talking about earlier over there. We can do better than that. We need to do better than that. And so I'm going to touch upon that. And this project and the next one, the field house, which Justin will talk about when I hand the microphone back to him. They were all both born from the work we did on our 2023 Comprehensive Parks and Recreation Master Plan. We have just acquired a new site. Whoa, that's all right. The one on the right. is our new site, which we just purchased a few months ago. It is on Anderson Road. It's adjacent to the River Trail and the eventual southern extension of Rio Grande Avenue. And it is a highlight of our excellent partnership with the city that we have come to even know this property, as we were originally trying to co-locate with the city part of our operations, our new Parks and Facilities Maintenance Shop on the same site of their current development for the DPW site. During that process, they became and made us aware of this Anderson Road site, which we engaged with the property owner, made an offer, and now we own this property. And we are very soon to be going to renovate this for our new needs. It has ample work and storage spaces and allows us to actually expand collaborative efforts with the city, which will be on the adjacent DPW site. And it frees the space at McNeil Sports Complex for future recreation amenities, which Justin was just talking about. We purchased the property for $1.3 million and plan to put up to another $1 million in the renovation, and plan to have that project complete around the end of 2026. The next project is the Fieldhouse renovation. So back to Justin.
All right, so here's what I was talking about earlier, the picture of the indoor turf. So if you hadn't seen the field house, I know there's a handful of people who had not. This is what the green area is used to be the pool. So when we renovated that facility, we just simply filled in the pool and put some turf on it. And it is a remarkable use of a community asset. You know, the structure of the building was still in fairly good condition. So rather than demo it, we put an indoor turf and have the first indoor turf arena on the western slope. That being said, the field house is still more than 40 years old. It's starting to show its age in its mechanical systems. It does not meet ADA standards, so we actually have a second floor at the field house where we do parkour, which is kind of a cross between gymnastics and skateboard and whatnot. But there's no elevator, there's no way to get up there. So that is definitely a huge concern of ours. It also has inefficient space for our current programs. Like I mentioned, our adult indoor soccer and youth indoor soccer programs are bursting at the seams, and it really does affect those programs. They cannot be as robust or as high quality as we need them to be with such a single piece of indoor turf. And the outdoor pool, our beloved outdoor pool, is at the end of its life. That thing is taped together with Band-Aids and duct tape, and you know, our maintenance team does an incredible job of getting it ready every summer, but it's about there. You know, pools only have an expected life of about 30 years, and this one's going on 40 years. So we love that thing to death. It's an awesome, just a little community pool, but it's very small, and it's if we make it through next year, we're going to be extremely satisfied. So, and then lastly, several of you guys probably know the tennis courts are also in similar disrepair. They're also at the point where we have to either scrape them. Well, that's really the only thing we do. We have to scrape them and start over. We have filled and resurfaced this tennis courts numbers of times, and unfortunately, every time the cracks show up within literally like a month. So there's not a great answer for the tennis courts, unfortunately. And as you guys know, this is right next to Montrose High School, so there's a lot of moving parts in this entire thing with, you know, what's the high school going to do, what are we going to do? So our task right now is to figure out, are we going to renovate the field house or replace the field house? Obviously, our goal, as it always is, to maximize taxpayer dollars in investment and the user experience. So we've got three options on the table. You know, the first one is to build a new facility at the rec center. We have 26 acres of land there. And there is some space over there that we could potentially do something. We could renovate the field house in its current form, or we could build a brand new facility elsewhere in town. So those are some options that we are examining right now. And like I said, there's also the whole, you know, Montrose High School consideration. You know, could they use the property? Could, you know, we locate elsewhere in town so that maybe it would be a greater
greater good for the community than just the field house. So one thing we don't want to do is just simply drop the field house and not have those programs. It serves a completely different clientele than the rec center does. It's not like those people would just come over to the rec center. Those people would likely just stop being served, which is absolutely not what we want to do. So we have some things in the hopper right now in the field house, and I would expect in the next 3 to 4 months we'll have some good ideas.
Okay. So I'll speed this last slide up to make sure we have time for questions here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about parks, trails, and open space. So everyone, I think, again, going back to that comprehensive master plan, really in any formal engagement we do or the city does, and anecdotally, we hear that parks and trails are one of the top priorities, and for good reason. They're free. The whole family uses them. You connect to other people. You mix recreation with the beauty of being outside. So having a developed park and trail system is really one of the linchpins of recreation and quality of life in any town and in Montrose. So even though the recreation district, as you all heard here, what we have, that the rec district owns, we don't own most of the parkland and trails in the city. That's owned by the city. However, we heard from the community that was something that they wanted us to be more involved in, and so we took some actions to make that happen, given limited resources. One of those things is just beginning conversations with the city and engaging them on where to make trail connections. Are there gaps in town where the trail system doesn't serve? Where are there need for parks? And those conversations are ongoing, and out of those conversations, I think we discovered that there was really a gap in the overall plan for parks and open space in Montrose, and that is open spaces. That if you take your goal as an interconnected trail system where you can get from your front door to both a developed park, but also to a soft surface trail where you feel like you're really outside, like you feel like you're not in the city anymore. Because our public lands are 15, 20 minutes outside of town, they're abundant, but they're a little farther away. We really don't, outside of the river corridor, have any open spaces, soft surface trails to access. So the MRD, I think it was a couple months ago, did in collaboration with the board and obviously our staff and Colorado West Land Trust, some of y'all may be familiar with, adopted a strategic policy of being willing to accept open spaces if of course certain conditions are met. It would have to be financially feasible, able to be maintained. It would have to be strategically located in town, and so we're very excited about that. Again, we're working with Colorado West Land Trust on that. As I mentioned, the open spaces, those would be minimally developed. It wouldn't be a fully developed park. Usually, it would just be soft surface trails and a restroom, and they can be much, I would say, financially more attainable because you can use tax credits and conservation easements to lower the price of those acquisitions, and they cost less to maintain because you're not mowing grass and fixing concrete and pavement. So again, that's the groundwork is just laid for that. There's no project in the works on that, but we look forward to working with the city and the land trust, of course, and the community to keep an eye out for any of those spaces that come up to add to our stock of public land in the city. That's it.
All right, to conclude our presentation, I just want to thank you, and I'd also like to say that each day when we walk into our facilities and program spaces, we see and we feel the impact of our work. For us, it's our life's work. It's our internal motivation for each of us to serve this community. We hope that's ever apparent to you. And our stakeholders and community leaders, we hope you continue to engage with us and support the Montrose Recreation District. So let's use the rest of our time here to get that dialogue going. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you guys so much. Great job on leaving time for questions, and those of you who come to the forum regularly know we save questions for the end. And so with that, what else do we want to know about the rec district?
I noticed that there was seemed to be an annual amount of contribution from the lottery for the park district. Was there any capital contributions from the lottery at the time of construction?
Of the rec center?
Yeah.
There was for the, there was a grant that we were awarded for the stuff on the outside of it, so the trail around the outside of the rec center and stuff like that. GOCO funds cannot be used for any building or indoor types of facilities. So there was a grant, and I don't remember the exact amount. Barbara, do you remember how much it was?
I don't remember the exact.
I don't remember. It basically sped up the phase 2 of our process so that we could open with phase 2 when the rec center opened.
You mentioned GOCO. Does the lottery money basically fund GOCO and then GOCO funds
That's correct.
projects?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a very competitive grant process throughout the entire state. Everybody is aware of GOCO now, so yes.
Yep. Funny story. I know we have questions, but I'll make it really quick. So when we were trying to get this built 12 years ago, and I was giving presentations, my son was about 11, and he heard me talk about lottery funds. And he said one time over dinner, he goes, "Mom, I just don't understand." And I said, "Okay, what do you want to know?" And he goes, "That just seems like a risky plan, like to play the lottery and hope you win to build your rec center." And I said, "That would be a risky plan. The good news is when people buy lottery tickets, that comes back through GOCO to rec districts." And I just think that's funny.
My question is, are you hiring lifeguards right now?
Absolutely, always. We have a class coming up in October.
Awesome. Second part of
Is
my
it your
question. Well,
I will hound him every day I see him.
Soon. Second question, are these lifeguards going to work at our new outdoor pool, and when is that opening?
Tough question, Ellen. The pool is still in the mix. It's not one of our most immediate concerns, but it's still on our radar.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm coming back to this corner. I'm trying to get everybody. I appreciate the questions are quick.
So this is probably for Astro. I have a 5th grader at Johnson, and they mentioned the river trip, but then they had no info beyond saying there would be a river trip. So they didn't know if it was funded, they didn't know where it was. Is there any info I can pass along? Or do we fundraise for that, or is it?
No, it will be, and I can, I initially talked to the principal and the vice principal, and I haven't talked to them, I would say, in the past couple months. But, so, what to say? The short answer to the question is it will be completely funded in the short term, and I can have this conversation in more detail, but it's an interesting note actually about the design of this program is that, we will be focusing on sustainability, right? We don't just, like all recreation district programs, what we're doing with Generation Wild, although there is this influx of funding, we want this to continue to make generational impact in our community, right? So we want everything we're starting now to be able to be run 10 years from now. So where I believe I did have this conversation with the Johnson principals is that short term, the grant can fund the entirety of the 5th grade class getting out. Again, longer term, it would be nice to mix in some of the school-based fundraising that Oak Grove and Cottonwood have done so we can make the program less sustainable over the long term. Yeah. But I'll reach back out to the Johnson folks. Thanks.
I have a lot of questions. When the new rec center opened, the space that you have now behind it to the east, I thought I remembered that was going to be additional soccer fields, but would that be a possible relocation of the field house? That's one. Second, going back to the field house and thinking back in time, when that originally was turned over to the rec center, wasn't the purchase price like $1? And the agreement at that time was the kids at the high school could use the swimming pool, and then that went away. And my third question, I've forgotten my third question.
I
So
can get to
you're
your
the
first
other two.
Yes, I can get to your first two while you do it. So the
Use
first
the
one.
mic. Use the mic.
Oh, sorry. Yes, the area east of the rec center is a space that we have looked at. The difficult part is there is a sewer line that goes underneath that. So building an indoor facility on top of that is going to be pretty costly. But it is an area that we've looked at for the field house space. Your second question as far as the lease goes, you are correct. The school districts are kind enough to renegotiate or whatever, mitigate that part of the lease
to say that as long as it was used for community recreation, then they would allow us to continue to use that. And I will say Montrose High School comes over and uses the field house all the time. Their sports teams are in there every morning. They use it for several PE classes, so having it adjacent to the high school, they're definitely getting a big benefit out of that. Yeah, and their swim team still uses the pool at the rec center at no cost. So.
Thank you. And the third one was, and this was rumor, that Flex Rec would be closing. Is that just rumor?
That's just rumor. We are full bore all in at Flex Rec right now. So, yeah, it's not going to close.
I'm wondering, I haven't heard anything about more pickleball courts, and that's, internationally wide interest. And also, my husband and I are new here, and we are avid cyclists, and we would like to know what are the chances of extending the bike trail along the river both north and south.